Good afternoon and welcome to The Rundown. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and here are some of your top stories for today, the 2nd of September. The payroll tax deferral took effect September 1st. What does it really mean for your paychecks? A new filing shows the USPS board chairman is also a director of Mitch McConnell's super PAC. Mike Duncan is under scrutiny over irregular process that led to Louis DeJoy's appointment as postmaster general. Congressional investigation finds over $1 billion in PPP funds. Prosecutors demand answers after a bicyclist was shot and killed by a deputy in South Los Angeles. The U.S. Marshals Service say that 25 missing and endangered children have been recovered in Ohio's operation. 52 black former franchise owners filed discrimination lawsuit against McDonald's. And a preteen girl beaten unconscious after telling racist bully that black is beautiful. Let's get to the news. President Donald Trump issued an executive order to defer the 6.2 taxes employees pay towards Social Security from September 1st until December 31st. This is only a deferral, not forgiveness of the tax owed. The IRS issued guidelines last week placing the responsibility on the employer for collecting the tax deferred. It must be paid by April 30th, or else penalized. Interest and other taxes will apply. Employees who partake in the payroll tax deferral would enjoy a temporary boost in their take-home pay for the remainder of the year. However, they will see smaller paychecks earlier next year as employers withhold and pay the deferred amount to the IRS. September 1st marks the first day of the Trump's payroll deferral for employees, which he had handed down in an executive order early August. The holiday is in effect until the end of the year. Employers and employees split the responsibility for a 12.4% levy that funds Social Security and a 2.9% tax to support Medicare. The Social Security tax is subject to an annually adjustment wage cap at $137,700 in 2020, but the Medicare tax is assessed beyond the threshold. Trump's executive order applied to the employee's share of the Social Security tax and would affect workers whose biweekly pay is below $4,000 on a pre-tax basis. Good afternoon and welcome once again to The Rundown. I am, of course, Captivating Christian, and this is Cap Hill and The Rundown. So now, without further ado, let me first welcome to any new subscribers or new people to the channel. Thank you. Welcome. And also to my state reps. Thank you so much for being supportive, holding it down, and definitely giving me all you got in your comments. I love it. Okay, so let's get into it. Payroll tax. The payroll tax, we pay it every paycheck. Some people don't even think about it because it comes out. However, Donald Trump has found a way to kind of, I guess, like manipulate a little bit, give you a little, throw you a bone, I guess. Excuse me. So he has decided to do away with the payroll tax for until the end of the year. Okay, and everybody might say, oh, that's great, I get a couple extra dollars in my pocket. However, it is a deferment, not a forgiveness. So that means you'd have to pay that back. So you, being the employee, and the employer is going to go half and half on that. Now, what will happen, or who mostly will get affected, is those who have minimum wage jobs. So at the moment, they may feel like, okay, this boost, I could use this, what have you. However, it'll be time to pay that bill come next year, 2021, and it has to be paid by sometime in April. So anyone making like minimum wage, you're going to look at a huge cut, at least about half of your earnings. So if you're making somewhere between $580 bi-weekly, trust and believe you'll be bringing home pennies thanks to this deferment. Now, so my suggestion is you better start packing away a little extra so often for that time when it's time to pay the piper, because he's a come a knocking. So I don't know. I mean, I feel definitely like it's always a ploy. You put us in this pandemic and then you keep throwing stuff to kind of make people feel like you're giving them something, when in actuality, you're not really giving them anything. It's a loan they're going to have to pay back. And at the time when it's due, who knows what other things may be around the corner. We may still be facing joblessness and everything else. So we'll see how this pans out, but it don't look good. The chairman of the U.S. Postal Service Board of Governors also serves as a director of the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's $130 million super PAC, according to new corporate filings in Virginia. Robert Mike Duncan, who testified alongside embattled Postmaster General Louis DeJoy before the House last week, was listed in a document as one of the directors of the Senate Leadership Fund, which has spent millions trying to defend vulnerable Senate Republicans. Duncan, who also served in the George H.W. Bush's White House, is the former chairman of the Republican National Committee. He served on the RNC from 2002 to 2009, during which time the party supervised an unprecedented escalation of voter disenfranchise efforts in swing states, including manipulating mail-in votes, the Huffington Post reported. Duncan was also appointed by Trump, who has been accused of trying to sabotage the postal system in an effort to undermine an expansion of the mail-in voting ahead of the election. So let's get into this next story. So apparently we have, here we have the U.S. Postal Service, the Board of Governors, and one of the governors on this particular board also happens to be Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's super PAC director. And Mitch McConnell has already raised over $130 million. And this super PAC fund is used to help vulnerable Senate Republicans who are up for re-election maintain their seat, and so the Senate doesn't lose power. However, this governor on the body has also been involved in George H.W. Bush's White House. George H.W. Bush, of course, is Bush Sr. He's also been the Republican National Committee chair from 2002 to 2009, I believe, right? And during that time, there was some disenfranchisement, meaning a whole big scandal of efforts to defraud voters with mail-in ballots in swing states. Ding, ding, ding. Something similar is going on right now. You have DeJoy, the Postmaster General, who has removed a lot of the mailboxes as well as the sorting machines out of a lot of the post offices and areas in some of the inner cities, but mainly a lot of the states of the battleground states. So, of course, this whole thing of trying to sabotage the postal system so it can be distrusted, and you can get ahead of kind of having some ballots disappear, all to ensure that President Donald Trump gets reelected. So let's be very clear. This Republican regime, I can't even call it a party, will stop at nothing to do what they have to do, cheat, lie, and steal, to ensure that President Donald Trump gets reelected. And that, my friends, is a problem, a huge problem. Over $1 billion in emergency coronavirus relief aid have went to companies who double-dipped and received multiple paychecks protection program loans in violation of the program's rules, according to the preliminary analysis released by the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Crisis. Congressional investigators identify multiple areas of potential waste and fraud in the PPP, part of the $2 trillion CARES Act, which offered qualifying small businesses up to $10 million in emergency forgivable loans to shore up their payroll and meet basic expenses due to the business's impact from the coronavirus and lockdown periods. The PPP program loaned to nearly 4.9 million small businesses for a total of $521 billion. As designed, the program still has $133 million in untapped funds. All right, so let's get into it. So there's been a congressional investigation into finding over $1 billion in PPP funds. Now, what the PPP fund is, it's a loan. It was a PPP loan program, which nearly 4.9 million small businesses at a total of $521 billion were given. Right? And they were given so small businesses could stay afloat due to the pandemic, right? So there was a subcommittee created that watched all this. And apparently, a lot of these companies were double dipping into this protection program for small business. Now, I say small business because we all know, and if you don't know, well, you will know soon, that a lot of large businesses were doing double dipping. So the subcommittee, which was a committee for this pandemic packet to make sure people were using it correctly, discovered that over 10,000 loans where the borrower obtained more than one loan. Okay, so there were 10,000 loans in which the borrower had more than one loan, 2 and 3 and whatever. All right, so under the administration rules, to only audit loans over $2 million. So people were dipping a few times, just making sure they didn't go over the limit of $2 million to get audited, right? And get that. So only 65 loans would have otherwise been subject to additional review. Now, there was over 600 loans for nearly $100 million that went to companies that had been barred or suspended from doing business with the federal government alone. And more than 350 loans, or nearly $200 million, went to government contractors, which was flagged by the federal government for performance or integrity issues. That is crazy. And over 11,000 PPP borrowers had red flags in the government system for award management. So, needless to say, the crooked were just padding their pockets Now, somebody who had to see all this and know that these companies were flagged was letting it go. So I can only imagine how many Trump affiliates or Trump associates were able to get these loans, and people look the other way. It's only a matter of days before all this comes out to who the actual business were that were able to dip and dip and dip and dip constantly, as long as they didn't go past the $2 million mark where they got flagged. It's ridiculous. But this is the administration, some of us voted for and some of us voted because we didn't vote for. Hey, this is Captivating Christian here to remind you to tune in to Politics and Wellness every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Politics and Wellness every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. You never know what you might get. "29-year-old Dijon Kizzy was shot and killed by deputies after they attempted to stop him for a code violation while he was riding his bike near West 109th Place and South Boatlong Avenue at around 3:15 p.m. on Monday. Kizzy ran from them, prompting a foot race. When the deputies caught up with him, they allege he punched one of them in the face. During the scuffle, he dropped some clothes he was carrying, and they saw a semi-automatic handgun, prompting them to open fire on him. The Sheriff's Department's report says it is unclear if Kizzy actually aimed his weapon at the deputies or how many deputies fired on him. Cell phone video from the scene shows deputies rendering first aid on Kizzy, but he died on the scene. No deputies were hurt. A handgun was recovered at the scene. All right, here we have another story of another shooting of a black man being shot by police. He was riding his bike. They obtained him for a violation. They don't really say what the violation was for. And even if it was jaywalking, did it really require not jaywalking because he had a bike. I'm sorry, but whatever traffic violation it would be for a person on a bike. Even still, did it take all those officers and then probably met with the aggression of, get over here, do this, do that. And with the atmosphere the way it is right now, who would not be afraid of the police? However, of course, they say he ran, so they chased him down. And upon chasing him, he had clothes. He dropped the clothes. And upon them seeing what they knew to be a handgun, they opened fire. Now, they don't know who shot him or how many sheriff's deputies shot and killed this man. However, of course, Black Lives Matter have been on the case, and they did a march trying to figure out was all the force necessary. And I think that's the problem. I don't think nobody's ever said, we don't need police at all. It is the excessive force that is only used or warranted towards individuals who happen to be black or of color, because we've seen plenty of incidences where something similar could happen with white counterparts, and they're not even met with at least half that aggression. So then you start to ask the question, what is the problem? Because obviously the problem is the system, and the system is there's one thing of justice for you, and there's a whole nother different type of justice for them. And that seems to be the problem. And then there's always a gun involved. There's always, saw a gun. He had a knife. He had a this, he had a that. And they open fire like it's nothing. But aren't you trained to even disarm or something without resorting to execution? I'm just curious. It's something that I really need to know. It would help me understand how this works, because what it looks like to me is that it's constantly open season for anything a person of color does, and that can make anyone a bit nervous, even the man who decided to run due to the atmosphere of what's been going on. So yeah. And be sure to join Jay Wilson, Rebel Sun, The Official Kingpin, Conscious TV, and Captivating Christian this and every Thursday at 6:45 Central Standard Time, 7:45 Eastern Standard Time for the Gentleman's Panel, where we are not afraid to go there and discuss an array of topics. See you there. The U.S. Marshals Service says that 25 missing and endangered children between the ages of 13 and 18 had been recovered in a 20-day mission called Operation Safety Net. The agency said in a press release late last week that it worked with the state and local partners in Ohio in an effort to recover missing children from the state. The kids were recovered in Cleveland, East Cleveland, Akron, Mansfield, Euclid, and Wallaby, and even Miami, according to the press release. The Marshals Service said that it worked with several local police departments and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, among other operations. The agencies completed a similar mission in Georgia last month, announcing their located 39 missing children in the state during the 2-week mission, Operation Not Forgotten. The operation led to the rescue of 26 children and the safe location of 13 others. Here's some semi-good news, and I'll explain why I say semi-good news in a little bit. So, the U.S. Marshals in Ohio have found a string of missing kids, and they've worked with local law enforcement and found these kids. They've also had a sting like this similar in Georgia, where they found some kids. Now, I said in the beginning that it's semi-joyful because, you know, any parent would love to be reunited with their son or daughter if they've been kidnapped. That would be a great thing. However, I question who's involved in these rings. Because to me, it's a bit like, that these law enforcement agencies, no one knows that these operations are happening right up under their nose. And that would only tell me that there is someone in the system that is allowing these things to go on. That's like the eyes and ears, so they know when to, when they're able to do, when they get the green light to do these kinds of abductions and trafficking and all that kind of stuff. And when that person gets busted, or those group of people get busted, then it's discovered, and all of a sudden it's uncovered. Because I just find it really weird that a whole department or a whole system of justice can't find or figure out how this trafficking thing is happening to our young people, yet you have the ability to fire upon innocent or unarmed black men and women. I don't get that. Or to create a whole story when you goof up and kill someone, to create a whole story and then equate them to being violent, and that was the reason why they met their demise, because they were involved in some kind of behavior. But we can't find children. So I think it's a whole system. I think the police is part of it, and they're not going to say who they tipped off in order for them to be able to, get the tip to have the kids released and safe, to their parents or what have you. But I think it's a whole system and it needs to come down. But that only happens when people get tired of the corruption in the system. "52 former McDonald's and franchisees have come together to file a lawsuit against the company for discrimination, claiming that the company denied them equal opportunity to economic success compared to other white franchisees. The Illinois-based lawsuit alleges that black owners were sold second-rate stores and didn't receive adequate business support from McDonald's. NPR reports that black franchisees say that they were guided towards neighborhoods where sales were lower, while overhead was higher, leading to a smaller profit and open to more critiques from the corporate headquarters. The franchisees, who own over 200 restaurants over the last 10 years, are seeking up to $1 billion in damages. Store location is vital for fast food eateries, and black franchisees have continuously been vocal about higher costs related to security, insurance, and in addition of maintaining stores that are in subpar conditions. In addition to being steered towards purchasing older and underperforming locations that require greater upkeep, the former franchisees say that they were prevented from buying more profitable locations. This led to average annual sales of $2 million between 2011 and 2016, which was about $700,000 shorter than the national norm. Here we go, talking about McDonald's with their billions and billions served. All right, so here we have black franchisees looking to sue McDonald's, 52 of them, looking to sue McDonald's for discrimination and, not really giving them the adequate service as a franchisee as they would their white counterparts who also own franchises. Am I surprised? No. However, in this climate and time, it definitely needs to be spotlighted, and I'm glad that it is coming to the attention of the people because it should be. To me, franchisees, especially in this kind of situation, kind of reminds me of sharecropping. I've said this before in my Politics and Wellness, which was this evening. You can check that out on the replay. So I think of it as sharecropping. I mean, you can work it, you work the field, or you work the restaurant, and you do all this, but you still have to answer to the corporate office. And you don't get as much profit than the actual, company does, or the person you're sharecropping for. So that's basically what's happening here. They get to give them locations. They give them the undesirable locations to build their restaurants. But their overhead is a lot higher. Their maintenance for the lackluster locations that they gave them winds up to be more. It's really tough, it's really tough, and to know that a yearly profit should be somewhere between $2 million a year, and you're $700,000 less than that. That hurts. That must hurt, because you think you go into something, especially something as big as McDonald's, and you may feel like you're a partner, being a franchisee, and to come to find out that you are less than is a bit, that would definitely, hurt a bit. However, these 52 black franchisees are suing McDonald's for about $1 billion in damages. So let's hope that they get their money. Of course, McDonald's is saying we didn't do anything. We treat everybody equally, but the data would probably show different. And I'm sure that these 52 franchisees got together and got their data, together to ensure that, oh no, this is definitely happening only with us and not with our white counterparts. So McDonald's is gonna have some splaining to do, because they're not loving it. But anyway, it'll be fun to see how this goes. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully they win and they get their just due. Because I think at this point, it's almost like back in the civil rights the height of the civil rights movement. It's not that people were trying to be like white people. They just wanted the same opportunities and the same things that they had. It didn't necessarily have to be white. It just the same materials, the same resources. They just wanted it for themselves to educate and move forward. And the fact that here we are in 2020 and it's still kind of a practice that is happening to where in which people of color who embark on a business get less than those of their white counterparts is unfortunate, highly. A black girl was beaten and harassed by a boy in an apparently racially motivated attack in Kansas. Brandy Stewart and her 11-year-old daughter, Nevaeh Thomas, was playing with friends outside an apartment complex Friday evening near her Swanee school when an older boy began taunting her with racial slurs. The girl responded by telling the 12-year-old boy that "my black is beautiful," and that's when he allegedly knocked her unconscious with a pole. She suffered a concussion and stitches inside and outside of her cheek, and she lost her tooth. The boy was charged with aggravated battery, which is a felony. The county district. The boy was charged with aggravated battery, a felony, says Johnson's County District Attorney Steve Howie, who added that hate crime charges could be filed in this case, although the juvenile court system handles those differently than adults. Now, this particular story is very disturbing. This young girl was outside playing, and apparently there was a bit of a racial interaction that she had with another young white man, a white kid. I'm not even gonna say white man, white kid, who was around her age. I believe he was about 13, and she is 11. He said some racial slurs to her, and when she said, probably, don't talk to me like that, or that's fine, I'm black because black is beautiful, he proceeded to hit her with a pipe, which caused a cut on her cheek and the inside of her cheek, as well as her losing a tooth. Now, I know this may not be so politically correct for some, so I apologize now, but I will say this, like my mama told me, you don't let nobody hit you, you pick up a damn brick or something and clock them over the goddamn head. But I understand that, she may not even know that he had a pipe or that he even picked up the pipe, because she probably was minding her own business and he sucked her, hit her or whatever. And the fact, that's a bit crazy that he knocked this girl unconscious, and they're talking about he was charged with felony. However, because he is a juvenile, it probably won't stick to his record. But that's where the problem lies, with a lot of them. Because it's funny, and here we go again. I know everything ain't about race, but it really is. Because there have been tons of kids of color that have done some stupid things, and yet and still they have been charged as adults. But it's always funny how when young white kids do something, it's always, oh, they're just being kids. Oh, they're just that they don't want to throw the book at them, excuse me. They want to kind of, oh, well, we don't want to ruin the rest of his life. But it's okay for you to ruin the life of a person of color, a kid of color, male or female, for the rest of their life, because to you, they don't matter, right? So the district attorney says that they possibly, that this has the potential to have hate crime written on it. But he didn't fully say that they were going to charge the kid with a hate crime. So right now he's charged with a felony. However, like they said, juvenile court handles hate crimes and things differently than adult court. But doing something like that, where you're knocking somebody unconscious with a deadly weapon, you need to be charged as an adult. Period. Leave the juvenile stuff for juvenile kind of things. A fight that may have gone a bit too far, or things of that nature. But when you start doing adult shit, like picking up pipes and hitting people, almost to the point where you might have killed someone, yeah, you need to be charged as an adult. And we shouldn't care about what little Billy's life is going to be for the rest of his life, because little Billy should have thought about that before he picked up that damn pipe. Because if she would have picked up that brick and knocked his ass upside the head before he got a chance to swing that damn pipe, you would have been charging her as an adult for hitting Billy. So I'm confused. Once again, somebody help me. In the words of the Jerry Maguire movie with Cuba Gooding Jr., help me, help you, help me, help you. Somebody, please, because I'm confused. So, with that said, thank you for watching. God bless. Have a great day. And don't forget, the Gentleman's Panel will be on Jay Wilson's channel on Thursday, 6:45 Central, 7:45 Eastern. Once again, thank you. Have a blessed day. Peace. Once again, thank you for watching CCN Midday News. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also hit that notification button so you will never miss another news update. Have a great day. Peace.